So our speaker today is a man I met at Cirque du Soleil in a Bouffon workshop. This man changed my life. He's changed the life of many people, and I hope today he will sow the seed of change in your life. Please give a warm welcome to choreographer and Maitre Bouffon, Massimo Agostinelli.
Merci beaucoup. Bonjour, good morning, everybody. I'm very thrilled to be here and to share this opportunity with you of my strange life. I was born in Cape Town, South Africa, to Italian parents, Maria and Antonio Agostinelli. They met through the Italian community in Cape Town. They had fled Italy independently of each other in 1950, leaving behind family, poverty, and the horrible memories of World War II. I know a lot of these stories because my mother told them all to me. So I have a very incredible picture of their history. I was brought up 100% Italian, with all its customs and traditions. Family is always first. And my proud Italian mother from Tuscany made sure we all spoke Italian. Even my niece and nephew today, they speak Italian. I am very proud of my culture and my heritage. We are a very close family. I was brought up in South Africa during apartheid. I was young and unaware of the situation there. And as a white boy, I suppose I was shielded from the reality. We lived in an upper-class, middle-class neighborhood. But I went to school at a Catholic school in a poor neighborhood, which was called Woodstock in Cape Town. The school was called St. Agnes in this very poor neighborhood. In the playground, there used to be this very high wall. And at lunchtime, guaranteed, there would be a bunch of young little kids, all black kids, sitting up on that wall. And for us as kids, we didn't really think anything about that. But if you didn't like the lunch your mother gave you, you gave it to those kids. They would take it for sure. They were so hungry. I wasn't really aware of the miserable and reality on the other side of this wall. This is the school today, and these are the kids sitting in the same classroom I sat in as a white boy. There were no black kids in the class back then. The other memory comes from my mother as I was a baby, and I don't remember, but it's a beautiful story, and I want to share it with you because it has a link with who I am today. So my mother was, and still is, she's very old now, but she was an incredible seamstress. She made beautiful clothing, and she opened a boutique where she sold her own homemade clothing. So she hired a nanny to take care of me, a black nanny. She was wonderful. My mother told me that when she would come home from work, she would find me asleep on her back, tied with the blanket like she did with her own kids. And she had the African music station on, and she'd be doing the housework, doing African dance. To this very day, ladies and gentlemen, when I hear percussion, I go absolutely crazy. And fortunately enough, in contemporary dance, when we teach technique classes, we have amazing percussionists that work for us, so I just go absolutely bonkers. My parents, like I said, immigrated to South Africa before apartheid. Apartheid happened while they were there. And as years went on, they didn't quite like the situation in South Africa. And so they wanted to look for a better future for their children, my brother and sister. And we immigrated to Canada in 1968 to settle here in Montreal. I am sure in my heart that I would have not become an artist if I would have stayed in South Africa, unfortunately. I don't think I would have survived doing a white supremacist army in such an oppressed country. And I'm so grateful Nelson Mandela released all those horrible memories. So I actually lived that without really knowing. My parents never ever got over the nostalgia for South Africa. So in their retirement, they often went every year during our winters to South Africa until my father passed away 4 years ago. So that came to an abrupt end. So I'm going to jump over a few years to when I was 15 years old. I started dancing with friends for fun in school shows and summer camps. My passion for dancing started really young, but I still had no idea that I would make a career with dance. At 17, I took my first real dance course at Dawson College, Cégep Dawson College here in Montreal, called The Art of Movement, and was told I had a natural talent for dance. And this is also where I met my long life friends, who are very, very important to me. They really supported me on this journey that was going to be a hard journey. So my friend Tony LeBaron, who was at York University studying fine arts, wrote to me saying, we didn't have internet in those days, ladies and gentlemen, we used to write to each other. It's so much faster now. And said, I had gone to McGill studying geography, can you believe it? And he said to me, Massimo, what are you doing studying geography? You're a dancer. Bing! That's when I realized what I had to do, and I never turned back. So without saying anything to my parents, I quit university, and I started studying ballet at the studio of Louise Lapierre. I also found a part-time job as a busboy at the famous Café de Paris here in Montreal at the Ritz-Carlton Hotel. Even as a busboy, you made good money. Because I realized that when my parents found out, they weren't going to support my new choice. And that's exactly what happened. So I applied to York University, dance department. I finally had my audition after 6 months later, waiting and waiting. The York rep came and auditioned us. I was the only boy, especially in those days when not a lot of boys would study dance. So it took a lot of guts to go there. And then we had to do a solo in front of the representative, which made me even more nervous. You know, we didn't have an iPod, we had a 33 record, you know. You put the record, cue, ready. I even fell during the audition. So the audition rep sits me down and says, okay, Massimo, we're going to accept you at York University Dance Department. I went, oh my God, thank you. I think I said every tacky thing in the world. Oh my God, thank you. You made my dream come true. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You have no idea what this means to me. I said, that's okay, Massimo. We're going to put you in level 5. I said, oh, really? Do you think I can handle level 5, sir? He said, absolutely, Massimo. It's the lowest level we have. And so my dance studies started. In my second year of studying dance at York University, I had my first heartbreak. It's usually the worst, but any heartbreak I've had after that has hurt just as much, so that's a bunch of shit. I had my first heartbreak and just didn't want to go on. Couldn't concentrate with my studies. I was 19 years old, screwed up in my head. Never had my heart broken before. So I ended up quitting York University and actually taking therapy to get my shit together. I thought I had let go of dance forever. Then one day, my very best friend, Bill, who is my best friend to this very day, he turned around to me and asked me caringly, so Massimo, how are you feeling now? I said, oh, I guess I'm starting to feel better. He said, good. Now get your ass back in a dance studio and get over it. And that's what I did. He happened to know someone by the name of Len Gibson. I went to study with him. He was a man of real black jazz. He was an amazing teacher. And he gave me back my confidence. And he got me into incredible shape, helped me rebuild that confidence. After a year, circumstance brought me to Vancouver, where on Len Gibson's suggestion, I would take classes with Paula Ross. Paula Ross is still alive today. She doesn't choreograph anymore. She's an older lady. She lives on Vancouver Island. But in those days, the Paula Ross Dance Company was one of the top modern dance companies in Canada. So I started taking classes with her. And after a couple of months, another huge coincidence, I end up in her company. She was notoriously known for firing dancers. I'm not kidding. She fired a lot of dancers. And I started my career, my professional dance career as a dancer. Paula Ross, the pioneer of modern dance in Canada, someone I hold very dear to my heart. She was very challenging physically, mentally, and emotionally to work with her. But I was young and tough, and you know, I met every challenge. I really wanted to be a dancer. She used to send us on these horrendous tours of Vancouver, sometimes doing like 24 shows, like 31 shows in 24 days. It was crazy. But I was young. I had the energy. I could do it, and so I did. Then Paula Ross gets an announcement that the Canada Council is going to give the company a grant to go on tour across Canada. Wow, finally, here was my opportunity to show my parents I'm a dancer, to get their approval. Every kid wants their approval. I still want my mom's approval at almost 60 years old. So what does Paula Ross do in front of the whole company one day? We just had company class. She says, we have enough funding to bring the whole company across Canada except one dancer. Who do you think she left behind? Fuck. It broke my heart. She went on to explain the reason she chose me was because I was a survivor. Didn't want to hear that shit at that time. But she was right. She was right. Unfortunately, it took me another 25 years before my parents gave me that approval. She could have solved that for me such a long time ago, but that didn't happen. Now, before I go on with my journey, my dance journey, let me go back to my arrival in Vancouver when I met Marcel. Through a friend we had in common. I was looking for a roommate. He was looking for a place to stay. So I was invited to meet him over dinner. He just come back from France, and he made endive farci, you know, very French. You know, it actually was quite delicious, considering it was a bit bitter. I'd never had endive before. He talked a lot about his accomplishments in Paris, but I couldn't care less. I just wanted a roommate. So we started to get to know each other, being roommates and sharing responsibilities. You see another side of a person when you live with them, yes? He was a tall guy, very loud, a bit pretentious. He was originally from British Columbia, and he went to Paris to study with les grands maîtres, Monsieur Philippe Gaulier and Monsieur Jacques Lecoq. And out of all the clown and physical styles that he studied, the one that was his favorite was Bouffon. And he wanted to bring it back to Canada, which he did. After some time as roommates and hearing a lot about Bouffon, he asked me if I wanted to participate in a Bouffon project. He was presenting it outside Granville Island Market in Vancouver. So I asked him, what is Bouffon? Well, basically, it's based on medieval tradition. Consists of 4 families. The first family, big bums, big bellies. These guys. The second family, the hunchback, le bossu. The third family, the dwarves, les nains. I love this family, by the way. And the fourth family is the heretic priest. Each family has its particular characteristics, and I won't get into it because it's technical. However, the whole idea of Bouffon was they were rejects of society, and they were sent to live en marge de la société. So when they came into the city, they had to be nice to the people. So the way they play on stage is nice to the audience. So the difference between clown, I hope you remember this next time you look at a clown, okay? The difference between clown and Bouffon is this. You as an audience, when you look at the clown, you go, ha ha, funny, 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 they do stupid stuff on stage. Bouffon's the other way around. They get on stage and they laugh at you. So they can be really naughty, which is really something I love. So after explaining to me what Bouffon was, I just refused. It was too weird for me. I said to him, no, I don't want to do that. I'm a dancer. You know, I was too involved being a professional dancer. I was a little bit pretentious and young. So when Marcel started presenting his Bouffons, I went to see what it was all about. When I saw, I could hardly believe my eyes. It was mesmerizing. It was hilarious. It was absurd, touching, grotesque, yet beautiful in some extreme and weird way. So I knew I had something to learn from doing Bouffon, and I followed them around all day long that day when I saw them perform, and I joined the troupe after that. And so my career, my parallel career of dance and Bouffon starts. So I had like a double career going on right up to this very day. A particular event that we organized remains dear to my heart and impregnated in my mind. It was Christmas time, and we had permission of the city of Vancouver. We prepared an event on the footsteps of the courthouse. We were about 40 Bouffons, and we were all assembled we were separated into 5 groups. And each group was in different parts of the city in Vancouver. So we synchronized our watches to leave at the same time. So we were going through the streets playing, dancing, being stupid and acting and silly and doing all the crazy things, sort of getting attention. Some people followed, some people thought we were too weird, didn't follow us. But in the end, all the magic happened in one spot. All of a sudden, all the bands of Bouffon arrived on the courthouse, or the footsteps of Vancouver, and there's this big frenzy, all these grotesque Bouffons, big party happening. You know, I think we almost blew the roof off that place, and then silence. There was a huge crowd that gathered around us at this point, and we had a real opera singer for this event. She was quite large already, so we didn't have to stuff her in Bouffon costume. She was perfect. She was a soprano of excellence. So while she started singing O Holy Night, all the Bouffons ceremoniously started going down the steps of the courthouse, 40 minstrels, and we had bamboo shoots in our hands. Then at one point, we all stop, we sit on the ground, and we start rapping out jingle bells. Rap, 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 rap. It gave a very powerful image and rhythm. But the whole goal of that whole exercise was each Bouffon was going to give a gift to the Christmas tree. My gift was a banana that I had in a little bag on my wrist. So it was my turn to go give my gift. So I go to the Christmas tree. I pull out my banana, and it's mush from the rap, 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 you know. I wrapped it on the floor. But it was Bouffon, so you had to stay in character. And I gave my whole heart to my mush banana. During my years training and doing events at Bouffon and shows with Marcel, a close friendship developed. The more I learned Bouffon, the harder he was with me. His challenges went beyond conventional training and shocked me on several occasions. One time in particular was in a social situation. We were hanging out in a bar having a drink. What does he do? He was a tall man, 6'5". He turned around to me, took a swig of beer, and spit it in my face. I was shocked. I was pissed off. I left. I got mad at him. Didn't talk to him for a couple of weeks. What did he say to me? You are weak. And I said to him, you're an asshole. But he was right. I was weak. In Bouffon workshops, he would say things to me like this. He was always yelling at me. I don't know why he loved yelling at me. He yelled at me all the time. Move, Massimo, move your body. You're a dancer, for fuck's sakes. How can I move my body if you put me in a pear costume? Littéralement, j'étais dans un costume de poire. C'était pas très drôle. So I was stuck, but I didn't understand yet that I could move in this pear. Learn slowly. He was very tough with me, and at the time I didn't like it. But now in hindsight, I understand why. He was preparing me to become a leader. I was pretty much a wimp back then. So at one point, he invited Philippe Gaulier to come to Toronto and do a Bouffon workshop. So the whole gang went to Toronto and did Bouffon, and we had a friend who owned a little clothing boutique. So we didn't have much money, so about, I don't know, a big gang of us, we all camped out in the basement of this boutique. We had put mattresses there. And we had this amazing training with Philippe Gaulier and Monica Pagnot, who did Feldenkrais with us. It was all new and exciting for me that I finally met the master, Monsieur Gaulier. 2-week workshop. And Marcel would he would be there every day. And then at night, when we'd come back to the boutique and we would do community dinner, he would sit there with a bowl of kiwis and he would peel them one at a time. And you had to tell him what you learned that day with Monsieur Gaulier. Otherwise, you got no kiwi. It was brilliant. It was a time of growing and learning and sharing a community of trust and creativity. That's why we worked so much together. We did shows together. Once again, he was preparing us, all of us, our gang of Bouffon. One of us was bound to go far with it. I'm sure he thought that. So shortly after this time, I moved to Montreal as I wanted to be close to my family. And it was the center of dance here in Montreal. And then Marcel would follow me later. Now, normally I would never tell this story because it's personal, but it has a strong connection of what followed. 1 month before I left Vancouver, knowing that's where I had to go, I met an incredible guy who proceeded to sweep me off my feet. It was everything I dreamt of. It's really hard to talk about personal stuff. Anyway, I lived a month of bliss that I will never forget to this very day with this particular person. And then it was time for me to leave. It was the last time I was going to see him, and oddly enough, we said a torturous goodbye in a parking lot. We exchanged very nice jewelry, actually. And I broke down, and I said to him, I love you too much. I don't want to go to Montreal. I would change my plans and stay here for you. And he said to me, no, Massimo. You have to go to Montreal. There's something waiting for you there. And he was right. I don't know whatever happened to him to this very day, but if somehow this message gets to him, thank you. I'm in Montreal where wonderful things happened for me. So my return to Montreal was kind of a low note, was kind of down a little bit. But, I got over it. So The place to dance in Montreal at that time was with Linda Rabin. Now it's Les Ateliers, l'École de danse contemporaine de Montréal, just up one block from here. The school has been around for over 30 years. Linda Rabin at that time was teaching a lot, so I went to take class there because that's where all the professional dancers took class. She introduced me to Limon Technique and introduced me to the Montreal dance community, and that also I'm very grateful to this very day because I'm still in this business. So after the company closed, I teamed up with Hélène Leclerc, who at the time was also dancing with Linda Rabin's company. We collaborated, created, and performed together for about 4 years before taking separate paths in our artistic journey. Today, Hélène Leclerc is a student and graduate service director, rehearsal and production coordinator par excellence, I will add, at l'École de danse contemporaine de Montréal. One of the most amazing creations we collaborated on was Suzy s'en va en guerre, that I choreographed in collaboration with Hélène Leclerc for the two of us and a 5-foot puppet. A poignant piece that explored contemporary dance and manipulation of a 5-foot puppet, and a mobile couch. The couch also moves. Everything moves. Merci beaucoup. This would be the last artistic project. Well, I have to explain to you, I'm sorry. Thank you so much. You know I have a dry mouth, huh? This magnificent 5-foot puppet was built by a man by the name of Robert Pott, who's also passed away, unfortunately, a very good, fantastic friend of mine. He was a clown at that time in Montreal called Mr. Pott. He was hilarious. He built his own puppets, and he was a puppeteer. So I had got a grant that year to create this piece, and he taught me how to manipulate a puppet. Unfortunately, he was so sick, he could never come to rehearsal, and all I could study with him was the head of the puppet. He gave me a few things, and I went with that. He never saw the work, so that was pretty sad. So I lost a dear, dear friend. After this period, I continued to work as a freelance dancer, choreographer, and I thought eventually I would have a professional dance company. And although I did incorporate a nonprofit organization, Agostinelli Dance Company, I did not feel that I was ready to direct a company at that time, so I did nothing with it. I remained freelance to this very day. I just didn't feel I could be responsible for the lives of 8 dancers at that time. I was quite young and not ready for that. So I was still working with Marcel in Montreal at this time, and it was also an amazing time because he built a community of artists of Bouffon. He started a troupe called Bouffon du Bouillon because his studio was on la rue du Bouillon here in Montreal. And at the end, he also worked for the Cirque du Soleil. And then, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, the AIDS epidemic got a lot of my friends at that time. All the gay men and the very dear friends of mine in the original gang of Bouffon in Vancouver all died of AIDS. I'm the only survivor of that original group, including Marcel. From his hospital bed, he asked me to continue his teaching after he was no longer with us. It was tough. He literally put the baton like this. He said, Massimo, you're going to continue this teaching. And I didn't feel ready at the time. And I said yes just to make my dear friend happy. And then he said to me, now help me out of this bed and into that wheelchair and let's go smoke a joint. Which we did, by the way. So, moving on, it was the late Candice Lubert, then co-artistic director and co-founder of l'École de danse contemporaine de Montréal, and also a dear, dear friend. I miss her dearly. Called 3 years later to get in touch with me to see if I was interested in teaching Bouffon to some contemporary dancers who needed to reinforce their presence and interpretation on stage. And that was the beginning of this incredible journey I am still on. Once the directors of l'École de danse contemporaine de Montréal saw the power and strength that Bouffon gave their students, it became a regular workshop to this very day in these schools. So you have Bouffon at l'École de danse contemporaine de Montréal, at least 30 years now. The School of Dance in Ottawa, 20 years. L'École de Danse de Québec, 20 years. The School of Toronto Dance Theatre, 20 years. I've also choreographed many beautiful works for these schools. And 12 years ago, I started teaching Bouffon, dance improvisation for le Cirque du Soleil, for whom I still work for today. So I'm going to go back a little bit. In 1988, independent filmmaker, director Roger Boire, here from Montreal, approached me with a proposal for a lead role in a short film. Wow. He had seen me dance in different venues in Montreal and saw me do La Ligue d'Improvisation that we had in those days at Club Soda, and told me he had written a script around me. Oh my God, I was so flattered. And he came through, money and everything. He made the film. And it's called Le Pied Tendre by the National Film Board, and it was nominated for Genie Award in 1988. We didn't win, though. Although I think we should have, but you know. I actually really enjoyed working in film situation. I had never done that before. So I learned that I don't mind the camera in my face. It was okay. It was fun, actually. So working as a dancer and choreographer, Bouffon was becoming a huge part of my life. I attempted to meld the two styles together. In 1998, I had premiered a new solo called Morphosis for Sylvain Brochu at the Canada Dance Festival in Ottawa, which Monsieur Brochu had been commissioned from the Canada Council to hire choreographers to do these pieces for him. Sylvain Brochu is a brilliant artist. To this very day, he's a dancer, a teacher, a yoga teacher, a shiatsu masseur extraordinaire, a choreographer, a hilarious friend. He also studied Bouffon with Monsieur Gaulier at a separate time. So we had this language in common. So I wanted to see if I could choreograph something that put Bouffon and dance together. I was hoping to have a video of this for you today. Unfortunately, I don't, so I'm going to describe it to you. In any case, Morphosis was created, a solo where Sylvain whereby interprets through dance the character of a mad scientist, where he's mixing potions together and experimenting in his lab, and slowly he starts drinking his potions. So he's doing this all with dance, and he's got a suit on and wild hair. During the piece, he starts to get a little bit crazier and crazier, and the potions he starts drinking makes his body move really weird, you know. Until slowly he starts taking off his clothes, and then he's back towards the audience like this, and then a tail falls down, and a hood comes up, and he's in a lizard outfit, this guy. I'm sorry for the quality of that picture, but because Bouffon was involved in the creation of this work, you can imagine how much we laughed. I think we laughed more than did anything else. It was so fun. Anyway, so when he becomes this character, he starts becoming funny and creepy. And he starts to let us know that there's something in his armpit. It's itching him, and he's going shh to his armpit. Like this, you know. And he's moving around, marking his territory. You know, he's moving, and all of a sudden, through movement, he's doing this character as well. It was absolutely brilliant how he melded the two together. Then all of a sudden, he pulls out a bug from his armpit. And he shows it to us. And he makes us understand that's his little friend. Oh. But that makes us understand, oh, he's hungry. So he starts taking nose hairs to feed, you know, but passionately picking nose hairs out of his nose. Oh, he's so happy now. His friend is happy, he's going to eat. And then he looks at the audience, and he eats it. Blackout. I thought for sure I created a masterpiece. So in 1998, Sylvain Brochu performs a brilliant solo show by 3 other choreographers, including myself. Morphosis premiered in Ottawa at the National Arts Centre for the Canada Dance Festival, to a full house of the who's who from across Canada. Everyone you want to know in dance, they were all there. And after my piece was performed, this was the applause. I was humiliated. I wanted to crawl under my seat. I wanted to quit dance. I wanted to punch a hole in a wall. No one came and talked to me. They were all afraid to tell me. They didn't know what to say. I took it personally until a dear colleague of mine, Peggy Baker, she's the goddess of dance still in Toronto to this day, turned around to me and said, they didn't get it. You're ahead of your time. At the time, I didn't want to believe that. Was my work too weird? Was it bad? Was I ahead of my time? Or was the audience too critical? It doesn't matter anymore because I know the choreography was brilliant. And why do I know the choreography was brilliant? Because Sylvain took that piece on tour, and every review he got in the paper talked about this piece. So yes, even as accomplished artists, we become really insecure. We're all human and weird at times. I am known for being a Bouffon master, which was a complete coincidence, and yet I truly believe it was meant to be. In the last few years, I introduced Bouffon to corporate world through Cirque du Soleil, although I've been there for 12 years. I started doing other stuff for them. To companies such as Disney, the design team of Bombardier and their vice president, we got them really good. Red Bull, that was very exciting. Nitro Circus, they were in town recently, not that long ago. They were fun to work with. Mosaic, actually the summer business school, amongst other reputable enterprises. It was Mosaic HEC Summer School and Brigitte Carbonneau, who works at Cirque du Soleil, that led me to doing a Creative Bangkok in Thailand this year. It was so exciting. I did Bouffon with these crazy people. I did a TED Talk in Lille in France, et je l'ai fait en français, et j'ai appris que les Français en France, ils comprennent les sacrages québécois. C'est soit putain ou marde. Nothing else. It was very exciting. So TEDx in Lille, then I did another workshop for Créa France, and now CreativeMornings and more to come. However, I am still equally dedicated and passionate about choreography, dance, and corporal expression. I never thought that Bouffon would define my career. I still choreograph 2 to 4 choreographies a year, whether it is for a college troupe, my dance troupe Echo, or one of the schools where I'm a resident teacher choreographer. I will continue this journey, and soon we'll start a Bouffon troupe here in Montreal. This is my next project. I'm very excited about this. In fact, I've been waiting too long to do this. So get ready. I'm going to take Montreal and shake it up, which has been very long in getting to this point. I'm an artist that wears many hats. That is how the expression goes. But I'd rather say I'm an artist of many shoes because I love shoes. I'm not Italian for nothing. Come on. I am a choreographer, dance teacher, Bouffon master teacher, a mentor, artistic director, a painter. I love using acrylic paints. I create paintings of men's shoes that I cannot afford to buy. Or expensive women's shoes of exquisite design. I just love shoes. I make jewelry, and I play with polymer clay. And now I can say I'm a speaker as well. This is all new for me. I love having many projects, creating, exploring, teaching. I love seeing people transform in front of my very eyes. It's so fulfilling. I have witnessed and experienced many such transformations. Often brings tears of joy to my eyes. It makes me feel incredibly happy to give to others what I had to fight for in my youth. And in doing so, I continue to evolve as well. At the same time, I don't sit and think of this. It just is this way. The journey might have been difficult and challenging at times. I might do certain things different if I had to do it again, but I have no regrets as this weird yet colorful journey made me who I am today. And ever so grateful for the support of my close friends, my siblings, colleagues, and I have to say this. Patricia Burgess, excuse me. She was my drama teacher in high school. She's the one that kicked it all off in the beginning. And all the amazing teachers and choreographers I studied and worked with, there were many. You helped me mold my unique artistic path. You encouraged me to be myself. I'm so proud of what I have accomplished so far, yet my journey continues. It is far from over. I have so much more I can do, so much more I want to do, and so much more I will do. Merci beaucoup.
Merci, Massimo.
Thank you.